My name is Dylan CineMasai Green, and welcome to the Real Notes podcast. I speak with rappers, producers, journalists, and other hip-hop adjacent figures about their relationship with movies, and, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is Florida-based activist, talent booker, and co-founder of Bazar, Dion Dia Records, and Big Culture and Arts Festival, Laila Fakhoury. We spoke about the soundtracks of Insecure in Atlanta, Scream, the documentary Five Broken Cameras, the uptick in awareness for the fight for Palestine, nurturing the artistic community in Gainesville, Florida, and the process behind bringing Big Culture and Arts Festival to life in what's shaping up to be its biggest year yet. Come fuck with us. Nah, you belong here, man. Like it's no question. Like just like for like all the work you've done, I've been just like all the research I've been. You belong here.
Thank you. Thank you. That's validating. That's validating because I was scared. I was like, he's interviewed such amazing people that I'm so inspired by, and you yourself are so inspirational, and you're an expert in all of these different things, and I'm like, feel nervous.
I just talk, and people just pay me to talk, man. That's all I see it as at this point in my life.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I try not to take it. I try not to take it for granted, you know.
No, for sure.
But what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to Real Notes. It's a Saturday. Saturday afternoon. It's like 2:45 on the East Coast. I don't know how warm it is outside. I haven't left the crib yet today, but you know, it's been beautiful the last like 3-4 days, and then it's gonna be in like the 30s at some point soon because
I don't know how y'all do it up there.
Yeah, me either. You know, I mean, like we're used to it. I guess that's how we do it.
30s is our cold, like our freezing cold. Can't do it.
It was yeah. Like I think it's been a long time since this happened, but it hit like -5, 6, or 7. I want to say. Like,
no, thank you.
February or like the end of January. It
absolutely
gets,
not.
It gets bad up here sometimes, but you know, you go out to Chicago, and Chicago is like constantly like -10, -15. Like they deal with that shit. Like as soon as it hits like December, it's gonna be like 7 degrees every day. Yeah.
No, thank you. Yeah, I got stuck in Chicago last December on a snowstorm. Scary
What were
stuff.
you out there for?
I was there for a conference around Palestine. It's called AMP, American Muslims for Palestine.
Word.
Yeah, so it was good. It was great. All of the conferences, the activism and organizing happens in Chicago, but when it's in the winter, I'm scared. I can't lie. Like I would love to live there. I'd love to live in New York, but I would definitely be a snowbird.
Yeah,
Sure.
I get it. If I had anywhere else to go, I'd probably go somewhere else too. But this is home, man. You know,
It's home.
I'm in Jersey. This is all I know.
Mhm.
My name's Dylan Green, CineMasai. I got a lot of names, do a lot of shit all over the place, outside, inside, all sides. And I mean, like pretty much everybody I talk to is a mover and shaker in some sense. But this person I have on today is a literal mover and a literal shaker. She's all over the place. I don't know how she manages to run a worker-owned boutique, a record label, and co-run a cool-ass festival that I'm probably not going to be able to go to this year, and I'm so upset about it. Big Culture and Arts Festival in Gainesville, fucking Florida. You know, like this is like a super duper passionate person, music person, liberation fighter, fucking Palestinian down, fuck the IDF, goddamn
the iOS,
and yes, the IOF, yes, fuck them. So because okay, so I never want to mess anybody's name up, so I'm gonna see if I get this right. I know your first name. I've never heard your last name said out loud, but I'm gonna try.
You were probably looking for it too, I bet.
I was. So today I have Bazar co-founder. Where did my brain just go? My brain just fucking died. Bazar co-founder, Dion Dia record label co-founder, Big Culture and Arts Festival co-founder, Just all around fucking fantastic person.
Thank you.
Laila Fakhoury. Did I get
So
that right?
close, close. Really close, really close. The thing is, when you're saying it in English, you can kind of just say whatever. In
Mm-hmm.
English, most people say Fakoury, but they get like nervous because they don't want to say fuck. But in Arabic, we say Fakhouri.
Fakhouri, cool. Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Laila Fakhouri, cool. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
I got it. I got it. Super. Yeah, I've hosted events and I've gotten people's names who were on the bill of things I've hosted wrong, and it's always embarrassing. And it's like, you
No, it's okay.
know,
It was a hard one. That was like a challenge. I
uh,
don't blame you.
no, but either way, like Laila, I know you're the busiest bee on planet Earth who isn't me. So thank you so much for taking the time to come here and talk to me about like all the incredible things you've done and the festival. Which like if y'all haven't seen this bill, if y'all haven't seen all the fucking news that's been happening around this festival for the last like month and a half, like go tap into big, like very very special shit happening down south.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for being here and coming to talk to me. It means a lot.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Oh man, yeah, like it's like yeah. I mean, like I remember, I mean, like our mutual friend, Sam Morris, who runs Loudmouth in Brooklyn. Shout out to Sam. Always,
Amazing person.
yeah. No, he put us in touch because he had gone down there last year, and he told me about. I'm like him and a bunch of other homies, like homies on the
Hmm.
bill, journalism homies. My man Eric
Yeah.
was down there, Annabelle, Quincy, and that good shit were down
Hmm.
there. Like those are all my people. So just like seeing all that last year, I was like, damn, like it'd be crazy if I could find my way down by this
Come,
year.
what's
And
going on? How do we get
man,
you here?
man, I gotta. It's gonna be for like this is gonna be the stupidest reason. I need to get my passport. I don't have my, or I gotta get it
Oh,
renewed. I gotta get my passport renewed. I had a passport, but you know, I
no,
just
that's serious stuff. That's serious
it
stuff.
it was just like it was a logistics thing, and I didn't get it done in time. I'm mad at myself, but
No, especially right now, you got to get that passport on point.
yeah,
You got to have that ready to
yeah.
go. So,
Yeah, no, I just got paid recently too, so I definitely got to make that happen. But I mean, just like seeing it from the outside, and obviously like conferring with people about it, and seeing like how crazy big and like once again, don't even like like not even counting all like the huge artists y'all booked, but just like the general spread of different types of musicians from all over the country, all over the world.
mhm.
Like just seeing how big that bill is. I don't know how y'all did. I don't know how y'all did this just on your own.
It's
With like,
terrifying.
you know,
136 artists.
man,
And
and you're
that's
like,
just musical artists.
right. And I want to stress again that this festival is completely DIY, and like y'all really, how many of y'all are working on this besides you? Remind me.
There's actually this year is beautiful to see the biggest team that we've had so far.
I love
We
it.
have about 40 staff members this year. So it's really cool getting to delegate different positions to people that they're inspired by and that they really want to build their own expertise within. So we have an artist relations manager, we have a volunteer coordinator, we have communications manager, we have people who are heading merch. So it's really cool getting to see how many people are just working on it because they're genuinely into it, like, into the project. You know, it's turning into something that not just me or my business partner Jahi are putting our complete entire heart and soul into, and other people are just working on it out of their own volition. It's just wild and beautiful. So about 40
Man,
people on our staff.
wow. Well, still, like 40 people is less than like, yeah, I mean like you give Rolling Loud or like Governor's Ball like 40 people and they're going to be shitting their pants. Like nothing's going to get done with 40 people. So
Right.
like the fact that y'all got this shit done with 40 people is super crazy to me.
Still working on it. Still
Yeah,
working on it.
yeah, no, from this point we still got like another like 3 weeks
27
until
days.
yeah, something like that.
Terrifying.
So basically 4 weeks. But I want to dig into everything big, but we can save that for a bit later. I got to ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes on here, which is what was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Dang, and I knew you were gonna ask me that. I knew you were gonna ask me about movies and films, and I was like, I need to make sure he knows that I barely have time to sit down and watch movies, to be honest. But maybe that's why I was so nervous. But I think the last show that I watched that I felt really, really moved by and had a strong opinion on was Insecure by
Mm-hmm.
Issa Rae. Literally anything that Issa Rae says, I'm like, yes, exactly. Because I just resonate with her a lot. I resonate with the way that she tells stories. I resonate with her with just like what she cares about. I feel like she's a Renaissance artist where she
Mm-hmm.
just taps into a lot of different projects, and she herself isn't necessarily a musician. Like, I don't think she calls herself that, but very music adjacent, cares a lot about music and art and sees its power in bringing people together and using it for elevating other areas of art and creativity. So I think Insecure was my last one that I watched, and it's been out for a while, so if that tells you much, it's been a while since I got to sit down and really enjoy a movie or TV show.
Did you finish it recently? How recently did you finish it?
Yeah, like the last 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I was late to it. I was late to it, but someone had told me about it. They were like, "Have you ever seen Insecure?" I was like, "No, I haven't." They were like, "It's basically your life. You should probably watch it." And I watched it. I was like, "Damn, it's too real. It's honestly too
Wow.
real." Like all the way from her working in the nonprofit and then just like moving on to doing her own thing and how scary that was with an event production and organizing a block party, which is the first thing that I did here in Gainesville. Um, yeah, it was definitely on point.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie. I think I made it. I think I made it like halfway through the show. I think I watched the first 3 seasons, and then I just kind
Mhm.
of fell off because I just like I got busy, and
Right.
it's like everyone has different everyone's just got like a different definition of what it means to be extremely busy and not have time to sit down and watch things. But there's always stuff that I'm like I'm like my watch list across TV and film is like dozens, probably even hundreds deep at this point.
That's
So I
wild.
just see like it was just one that slipped through the cracks. But
Mhm.
I remember really enjoying the first season, and like
Yeah.
even outside of like the show itself, just like what she's gone on to do, like rap shit. I'm with Ida Osman. I really loved that show a ton. I was sad it got canceled. That was one
Yeah.
that I was like actively keeping up with, like week to week or whenever they would drop episodes. Like that was like I was in on that show.
Yeah.
Um, I wish I liked One of Them Days more.
Me
It
too.
had it had all it had
The
every ingredient.
soundtrack, perfect. Perfect
Soundtrack is
soundtrack.
yeah, no, the soundtrack is great, but like just like the idea of a modern day Friday with like two ladies, like two black ladies specifically in it, is so cool to me. And then I
Mhm.
watched it and was like,
I know, I know.
it's just not making me laugh the way I wanted it to,
Yeah,
which
in
stinks.
reality, I watched that more recently, but definitely not as notable to me as Insecure.
Yeah, no, I feel it. And yeah, like and yeah, like one thing I've always loved about Insecure is the soundtrack and like all the songs they sing. I had a homie on here years ago. Her name's Bosco. She's had a couple songs
She's
on the show.
awesome.
She's amazing. Yeah, no, shout out to Brittany if she's listening. But yeah, no, yeah, like she's had a bunch of songs synced, and I don't know, like it was like you could tell that at that specific time she was Issa was very invested in getting a certain type of music on the TV airwaves and
Exactly.
like in front of people in a way that like I feel like her and Donald Glover were trying to do similar stuff with the way that they function on the way their music functioned on Atlanta and Insecure
I love
respectively. And
Atlanta. I love
yeah,
Atlanta too.
yeah, no,
Mhm.
Atlanta might be my favorite TV show of the last like 10, 15 years. I've been meaning to go back and do my rewatch, but that was like appointment viewing every season. I'm still on the hunt for the DVDs. Like if they ever put the whole series out on DVD, I need it.
Now I
That's
know
what I'm
what to
trying to
get
own
you for your
forever.
birthday. That's what we're getting you for your birthday.
Stop. um but I don't but I don't want to get too far away from Insecure because I really do love and appreciate the way I love and appreciate the way music functions on the show. Like, I don't know if you've thought about that like any deeper, but being like, how do you feel the music of the show kind of enhances, or does the music of the show enhance the experience for you
No, for
specifically?
sure. For sure, it makes the show a lot more memorable to me and more meaningful. I feel like now there's certain songs that I can listen to and just think about scenes with, and yeah, no, I think that she does an amazing job curating the soundtrack, and just like you said, I really appreciate the fact that it shows a lot of different types of artistry and different levels of artists. Like, she's not just getting the biggest names in music, which she could very easily do with the resources that she has, in terms of sync, but she's just getting like all kinds of artists, some shine with being on the show. So yeah, no, I think she did an amazing job. And same thing with Atlanta. I think that's like one of my favorite parts of Atlanta is
Hmm.
not just the storytelling and the cinematography, which is all obviously brilliant, but just the music that they choose is so good. It just makes it so much better. I love it because it feels more like a rounded, like a full picture experience, you
Hmm.
know, like you get the whole thing, especially for me. Like, I'm definitely someone on intersectionality. Like, I think that
Word.
all of these different areas of culture really should merge and should intersect. And there's a really beautiful way to bring them all together. And a Renaissance artist also is Donald Glover, who is just really good at bringing together the storytelling, the acting, the video, the music. Everything's just so good. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I think all the time, like with those two shows specifically, I think they connected with me. Like, I mean, like being a Black millennial, like they're kind of like I'm kind of the prime target audience, but it's like I think all the time about the way like rap and R&B get represented in these types of shows and these types of movies, because it's either like the oldest, most vintage shit imaginable that's just like
Right.
we're Gen X and we're in these positions where we can put on for like all these older artists that we love, or it's just
Yeah.
like super duper modern, like squeaky clean, like the type of shit that people will, like a casual person, for lack of a better word, might listen to. Like
Right.
one of the, like the first song you hear on Atlanta is OJ the Juice Man, is an OJ the Juice
Hmm.
Man song, and to me that's just like, okay, so I know exactly, like he can do, like that show can sync music from people like OJ the Juice Man or Shabazz Palaces or Kamasi Washington or whoever, like it's like,
So good.
and there's one episode where they get some Ethiopian jazz in there and it's like jumps all over the
Yes.
place.
It's so
It's just
good. It sets
extra.
the scene. It sets the
Yeah,
scene.
it really does. And like those are like, once again, I don't think a person older than that would know to search for that type of stuff, and that these two on that those poles could intersect. And like I'm blanking on any specific examples that from Insecure, but I know it happens on Insecure all the time. And just
Same.
like seeing those sensibilities be fed by those by Issa and Donald and their teams, because I mean they have like music supervisors. It's not them specifically, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sure they help. But either way, like that's like that always connected with me, and that's part of what makes those shows as iconic as they've become. I think.
No, for sure. I completely agree. And you're making me want to get more into film and shows because for me, I really believe in the power of media so strongly. Not just
Word.
media in narrative forms as films and shows, but also just in general, like important or like underground media that's sharing news, that's sharing information, citizen journalism, just all of these things are huge to me. So yeah, you're re-inspiring me. I gotta sit down and watch some things. Gotta sit down and watch.
Before I run back and ask you about your early watching history, I just wanted to like on that tip just show some solidarity and respect, because I know how Bazar is worker owned, and I don't know if you're familiar with or like I co-founded a worker owned music publication back in 2024 called Hearing Things.
Oh, whoa, that's
So
sick.
yeah, like we've been going for about a year and a half. It's been a great journey. It started out one way and it turned out a different way. But yeah, I'll fill you in on that some other time. Long story short, we're worker owned. We're 100% worker owned. It's us. We thrive entirely off of subscription, everything. So like
That's
just
sick.
like knowing that y'all do what y'all do, it just made me happy to see that in that specific way. Like we need as many co-ops and stuff like that as we can get.
That's so dope. I had no idea, but I've never talked to anyone else that has their own worker-owned organization before. Like I feel I've been in a position of trying to educate around it to encourage people to start their own, but I don't think I've met someone that's already had their own before. So that's really cool.
Yeah, nah, it's I've been meeting a lot more people on that tip recently, which makes me happy.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful to say that I've been involved in a couple co-ops and
Yeah.
organizations, like just like back in like college, nothing like super duper serious, but I've just always loved and admired that communal cooperative aspect, and just like
Yeah.
trying to apply it to, like applying it everywhere we possibly can is, I think, a key step in ensuring that we survive this crazy socio-economic and political transition we're going through right now. So
Yes.
you
No,
know
I completely agree. Trust me,
yeah.
we on the same energy with that.
But I want to dig into a little bit of your viewing history and just like your younger life generally. So Layla, what's the first movie experience you can remember having? It could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house. Just like the first thing that comes to mind for you.
The first thing that comes to mind is, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is hiding underneath the coffee table that we had in my living room while my siblings were watching MTV and watching
Mm-hmm.
MTV music videos that they weren't gonna let me watch with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always had like an interesting experience around film and TV because I'm the youngest of five. And so my brother, who's my middle sibling, has always been extremely protective of me for some reason. And I was like the littlest sister. He was very much like not gonna let me do anything that he felt like was gonna scar me, that was gonna, like put me on some kind of different path, which is like hilarious now thinking about it, since we literally do everything together. We go to festivals together, we go to shows together. But there was one experience that I had when I was little and he was watching Scream with his friends. And I remember like going in there trying to watch with him. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch a film." And my brother was just like, "You're not allowed in here. You can't see this. It's gonna scare you. It's gonna ruin your life." Blah 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 blah. I was just like, "Yeah, whatever." As soon as him and his friends like get distracted with something, I sneak in and I'm like hiding behind the couch watching it with them. And there was like one point where this like guy was in the bathroom and he put his do you know what I'm talking about, where he put his head like
I
against
know exactly
the
what you're
damn
talking about. Yeah.
stall and then the fucking knife, and I was just like, and I saw that shit, I screamed so loud and ran out, and my brother was just like, "I told you you couldn't watch this." And that kind of scarred me, I'm not gonna lie, but that was like my first experience with watching movies, watching TV, and then from there it was definitely like Harry Potter. I
Yeah.
remember every single new movie we would go to the premiere at our local movie theater, and the bookshop always had like a little event before everyone would move over to
Yeah.
the movie theater. So that was always a really precious experience for me, and I really cherish those moments. And yeah, those are some of my first.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, like, for anybody listening who may or may not have been around for like the height of Potter mania, like I'm not really a Harry Potter person, especially not now because of everything. Maybe like J.K.
Oh,
Rowling, like
100%. Yeah,
she's awful, but like it can't be overstated how crazy that shit was at its peak. Like bookstores
Crazy.
bookstores all over the country and the world were filled with people whenever the books came out. The movie theaters were always popping. Like my sister and mother loved the movies, so so like of course I saw them all. And just like, yeah, like it cannot be overstated how huge that shit was at the time. It
Yo,
was
it was
like,
like a sickness. It was like a
yeah.
sickness the way that it had us in a chokehold. Like I
Yeah.
also the same thing. I wasn't really into fantasy. I wasn't really into the magic, and I was just
Mhm.
way too real as a kid to really get into it in general, but it was just something about the way that they organized people to connect around it, with the bookstores being active, with the movie theater. Like I remember one of the movies, we were waiting for it to start, and though they were always packed, like people were standing in the movie theater, which I don't even think you're allowed to do, but like people were standing watching. And I remember before there was, those puppets, that YouTube video where it was like Severus Snape, you know what I'm talking about? Someone
Yeah, the
had
Potter
like,
Puppet Pals. Yeah, I remember.
yes, 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 exactly. Someone started the song, the whole movie theater is just like all singing along
That's
to
wild.
a T. It was crazy. Yeah, so it was definitely like it was a moment in time for sure. I'm way past that now, but
Yeah.
especially because of her, but
Yeah,
yeah,
man. Yeah, no, mugs were drinking butterbeer and eating chocolate frogs and the birdie bots every flavored beans. It was
exactly.
yeah, no, shit was going down for sure.
It
Um
really was.
as you get older and you start to, just like expand your palate and form your taste and just like become you, I like to think of this next one as a capital M movie,
Mm,
the one that really stopped you in your tracks and connected with you in an emotional, artistic, or spiritual way. Like,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be like a high art type of thing, but just something that you like, that grabbed your attention and was like, this is a movie, this is a film.
Yeah. I'd say the main example that comes to my mind is a film called Five Broken Cameras. Have you heard of it
Mm-hmm.
before?
I it sounds familiar, but I can't remember off top. I'm checking right now.
So it's
Um,
a Palestinian film. It was actually nominated for an Oscar, and the
okay, that's why
filmmaker,
I remember this. That's
the
why I'm okay.
controversy. Yeah, there was a whole story around that, but
Yeah, fill
um
us in.
so the movie itself was produced by someone that I'm good friends with, like we're my family friends in Palestine, and their village would do peaceful protest every single Friday. It was like part of the routine of the village. Basically, everyone was out there, and they were very specific about it being nonviolent, peaceful protests. And so he basically would document every single Friday, when he first got a camera, which he was like one of the only people in the village with a camera at the time. And he would just document the experience of the protest and showcasing, like what the IOF was doing to Palestinians. That village also, he had gotten a camera before they had built the apartheid wall through his village.
Mm,
So he like documented the whole building of it. He documented people from the village being murdered by the IOF. Just so much that he captured on his camera. And it's called Five Broken Cameras because five of his cameras were broken by the IOF in different ways. And so it was just
that's
like very
wild.
emotional, and it was nominated for an Oscar. It was the first Palestinian film to get nominated. And I remember us, like my family again was really, really connected to him and to his family. And so I remember us trying to get him into the States for the award ceremony, and they wouldn't let him in. They wouldn't let him
Mm,
into the States. And so he had to, like miss that experience. But it was just insane the way that it was elevated and that it got attention, because at that time, people weren't talking about Palestine at all, and
right.
especially now is a completely different experience, especially as being a Palestinian, seeing how many people are aware of Palestine since the beginning of the genocide. But then, we were still living under illegal occupation and people weren't talking about it. People weren't aware. And to me, he's one of the first citizen journalists that really made a big difference for Palestine in terms of sharing the truth with the West and with just the outside world, outside of the occupied territory, because he was in the West Bank. So yeah, that movie really, really, really moved me. Not just because of the personal connection of knowing him, but just in general, I thought
Sure.
he did such an amazing job sharing and showing what the experience of occupation is like. And that movie I used in so many different ways to share that experience with people because it was just like a perfect way to connect, like I was saying, how powerful media is and how important it is for people just to understand. And it doesn't scratch the surface of actually being there and witnessing the occupation, but seeing it through someone's literal lens, through their eyes, is really, really powerful. And so I used it in multiple screening events, multiple art-based events, and just recommended people watch it so that they, kind of got a little bit more of a sense of what was going on there.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. I'm not gonna lie, I never got the chance to see it, but I do remember when it came out. I remember it being a huge deal. I do remember the controversy and like, and yeah, I just never got around to actually checking it. I'm gonna do that now, obviously, but I wanted to touch on, excuse me, I wanted to touch on just like the idea. You mentioned the fact that like a lot of people have like just now been awakened to everything that's been going on with Israel and Palestine for for decades and decades at this point. And you've been, I mean, like, you're Palestinian, so like like this is in your blood in a very real serious way, and you've been like you've been on the ground in a lot of ways, like actively fighting this and informing people and like trying to get some action moving for longer than a lot of people. And just like for context, like when I was looking things up earlier or within the last couple of days, I googled your name, and the first three things that came up were your Instagram page, your LinkedIn, and a Canary Mission page.
Yep.
With everything you've ever done on it. And I was like, and
That's my
like,
badge of honor.
I mean, shout out, because like, I mean, for people listening who might not know what Canary Mission is, don't ever go there for any other reason.
Yeah, don't
But
look it
like,
up.
yeah, nah, but like Canary Mission is a site that documents people who are anti-Zionist and anti-Israel, and just like reports on like the things they've done, their whereabouts. It's one of those type of pages, and just reading over all the just all the things you've organized and all the things you've said and like the stances you've taken. I was like, I knew you were about it, but I was like, damn, this is hardcore. Like, yeah, and like being on that site, I was like, I was like, yeah, you're not fucking playing, okay? Like, I'm I'm like, I'm happy to have somebody that about it on here. Like that makes me happy. So shout out
Thank
to
you so
you.
much.
I know that's a I know that's a specifically terrifying thing to kind of be involved with, or just like have your name on a site like that, but it just means that you're doing what's right and
Thank
you're
you so
making an
much.
impression. So that's
Thank
dope.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I remember that when I first got on Canary Mission, which was young because I was doing activism, at a really young age. It was basically while I was still in high school. And then that
Wow.
shit, I looked at it recently. It gets updated like regularly. You see like where it says last updated, it was like 2 days ago. I was like, what the? But anyways, I remember when I had first got on there, I was so messed up about it, like so scared, so sad. And then I actually went to a program. It was a Palestinian organizing program for just Arab youth. And the first thing that they did was put a bunch of pictures of our profiles. Like a lot of the students were on
Mm.
Canary Mission. So they put up all these pictures of our profiles on the projector and they were like, does anyone know who this or what this is? And we were all like, yeah. And they were like, if you're on here, give yourself a round of applause. And we were like, and that was like the first time that I was just like, yeah, what am I worried about? This is just showing again, like, my dedication to this cause and that I'm doing, like you said, like I'm doing what's right. Like now I have clear documentation that I'm on the right side of history, and
Yeah, man.
that's fine with me. I'm grateful for that. But Canary Mission really was meant to just scare a lot of organizers out of activism, and it's just a typical fear tactic to silence people. And when I got on there, that's the first day that I decided to myself that I was never going to work for anyone. I was going to always just create my own path because
Right.
I'm not going to let any employer, any school, anything silence me for what I believe in. And
Yeah.
it was just a boost, to be honest.
That's great. Like just on like a parallel tip, like it's interesting just considering all you've done for basically like or not basically like a good chunk of your life, and then to see everything pop off in 2023 the way it did. Um and then the whole world is like there's just like an entire there's like a whole flip in awareness.
Yeah.
And like it's I hate to trivialize it, but it's become trendy to be very like about
Yeah.
this shit. And like and like I can't help but think about like 2013, 2014 when Trayvon was murdered and BLM started to pop off, and a lot of people I knew who didn't have awareness or like a fire burning in them about this shit that we deal with every day. And like
Hmm.
I've fought individually and as a collective for my entire life. Like it's just like
Yeah.
people it just becomes like the topic of conversation, and everybody knows who everything is.
My fault. Sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to shout out the Real Notes Patreon one time. For as little as $5 a month, you get exclusive goodies like video of every interview, 2-day early access to every interview, an invite to the Real Notes Discord server, exclusive access to the Real Talk Movie Night archive, and early pre-sale links for all live events. If you want to give a little more, you get other exclusives like retro 60-second movie reviews and monthly 90-minute workshops with me, where we can discuss whatever creative questions or projects you might have going on. Head over to patreon.com/realnotes. That's REELNOTES to join right now. I repeat, all videos will only be available on the Patreon. Thanks for listening. Shout out to my patrons. Now let's get back to talking.
Yeah.
I remember talking to people. I remember talking to people who thought that Malcolm X was a Black Panther, and then years later, them being like, down,
Catch up.
and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's so just like just because I'm curious, like coming from your specific viewpoint, like how did it feel, having a page on Canary Mission, doing all these, like organizing and like fighting the way you have, and then seeing the whole world just zone in on everything the second the genocide starts or picks up, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's it's overwhelming, and it's honestly hard to really explain and articulate how it makes me feel, especially as time has gone on and the genocide is still going. And, like you see that very typical fluctuation of people being really into it because, like you said, it becomes trendy and people just want to be on the side of the fad. But then, like it dying off and people just kind of forgetting and not necessarily caring
Right.
anymore. So I've gone through a lot of emotions over the past few years, since 2023 when the genocide started. And I remember when October 7th happened and people started to be like really aware about Palestine. I was shocked, but I was just like very excited to know that people were actually that they cared, because I felt like my whole life I was just like trying to shake people into just like understanding and caring and being aware and doing their own research. And so I was just like instantly grateful to see that people not just were like aware of it, but were doing research, deeper learning and deeper understanding, where they were like, oh no, this has been going on for a long time. And they were learning words like the Nakba, and they were learning like about demolition. They were calling the wall an apartheid wall. They were calling it an illegal occupation. They were calling it settler colonialism. And they started to learn the language, and they started to understand what was really happening. And so people who took it as an opportunity like that are still like, people that I feel like I've continued to build with and, like work with in the cause over the past few years. But then it started to get like a little bit, I don't know, like it started to feel like overwhelming in the sense where it's like, okay, I see that there are people who, are posting about Palestine, who are following Bisan, who are just like aware, but then like they're treating it like it's a fad, and it's like,
Yeah.
that shit just makes me feel so uncomfortable. And then I started seeing a lot of people, like use it to center themselves and like victimize themselves, and just like, I don't know, just so many like feelings. Mostly like the biggest feeling is that I never would have expected this kind of just like awareness, widespread awareness of Palestine within my lifetime, or at least like at this point of my life. Like we always say that we're going to see Palestine be free within our lifetime, like that's a phrase within like Palestinian organizing. But it was just kind of like, it just felt so hopeless that you kind of, like you hope that it's going to happen, but you don't know that it's going to happen. And so the way that it just like shifted so quickly, like again, makes me grateful that people are learning. But then again, like we're still seeing the genocide. The West Bank is still legally occupied. Jerusalem is still occupied. Like there's
Yep.
still all of this shit happening. So I don't know. It's sorry that was like kind of all over the place, but it's just like that's really how I feel with it. It's just like my mind goes back and forth of just feeling really, moved and really like motivated, but then also just kind of like down about like the way that people are treating the cause as something that's more just like let's jump on the bandwagon thing. And I feel
Yeah.
like maybe you've experienced the same situation, like you saw that happen when Trayvon was killed and when BLM started to grow in notoriety and just like people standing behind it. But yeah, it's a lot of emotions. It's really conflicting.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's why I asked. Like, you don't have to apologize for going. Like, it's a complicated situation,
Yeah,
considering that you've been about this for a long time,
yeah,
and it's like it makes me think about things. Yeah, just like still on the movie tip. Like, one of my favorite movies of the past like 5-6 years has been How to Blow Up a Pipeline. I
mm,
recommend it to. I don't know if you've seen it, but I recommend it to everybody I possibly can to like just like go watch it and understand it and just like take in for I feel like I've mentioned it maybe once or twice on here, but for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's a movie about a bunch of like younger people who meet up on a Discord, and they decide to go and literally blow up a pipeline somewhere. It's like somewhere in like the South or maybe like the Midwest. It might be in Texas, but like this specific oil field is gotten a bunch of people sick, and one person gets hit with the eminent domain from the government, and they lose their
mm,
crib because the government wants to build oil rigs all over the
mm.
place, and they just decide to go and blow the shit up. Like, the movie is
Yeah.
about these kids from all over the country coming together, and you're like, some of them are into demolition, some of them are organizers, some of them are filmmakers, and they're from like all different walks of life, all different parts of the country, all different races and creeds and sexual identities, like what have you. And the whole movie is just them getting together and pulling this mission off in
Yeah.
like like they film it in a way that's very much heisty, but
Yeah.
it feels, they don't forget that these are people and that things are complicated, and
Yeah.
that it's like it's just it's a fucking fantastic movie, like the kind that
Yeah.
I felt like I should have been put on a list when I walked out after I finished watching it at the movie theater. It's
Respect.
and you're like, it's interesting because I also know that like I'm trying to remember exactly what. So like there was like some sort of government consultant involved with making the movie. I don't remember exactly to what degree they were involved, but
Mm-hmm.
even with them being involved, the movie was like monitored by the FBI. I think it had like 27, somewhere between like 27 and 35, just like calls made about it or something.
Mm-hmm.
The movie rubbed some people the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's put it that way. And like I think about stuff like that, and even though I didn't like much of the movie that I'm about to mention, there's like aspects of Eddington, the Ari Aster movie that came out last year that center on like specifically younger white people, hopping on something because it's a fad or because they like want to have sex with somebody who's involved in the movement or what. It's like these are all things I think about constantly in terms of just like people being involved with liberation struggles and anti-racism shit, anti-apartheid shit. It's
Yeah.
when it's trendy, it's trendy. And you
Yeah.
can and it becomes easy to tell when somebody's just there because they want to be next to like Earl Sweatshirt, for example, or
Right.
if they just want to look like sexy in like the sort of like hippie Woodstock sort of way. And it's like you
Yeah.
said, it's complicated. It's like I think about it in a lot of different contexts all the
Yeah.
time. But
It
prepping
is.
prepping to talk to you, one thing that I kept coming back to was being in this moment and realizing how much of the music I listened to was not just contextualizing what was happening in Israel and Palestine, but was like explicitly pro-Palestine. Like I think about listening to Wu-Tang's 36 Chambers. They mentioned the Palestinian Liberation Organization on there like at least 3 or 4 times. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like talking about like PLO style and shit. And like when I was younger, I didn't fully understand what that meant. But now I go back and look at it and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like this is like people have been on this in a way and have been like spoon feeding me this knowledge to the point where like I have the breadcrumbs necessary to get the understanding I need a bit quicker than I would have otherwise.
Yeah.
It's a little different for you because once again, like like this is your life to a certain extent, but growing up like being an avid music head, like were there artists you heard, whether it's in their music or in their like real life politics, that really helped to shape your worldview and how, and you're like this fascination you have with the power of media?
Yeah. I Anytime that I would hear Palestine in music, it was extremely exciting to me because, as you know, like what I just mentioned is before even 2012, when Palestine got observer statehood by the UN, people didn't even know about Palestine. Like they didn't even know the word Palestine, which is just so crazy to think about now, to the point where when people would ask where I was from and I would say Palestine, typically everyone would be like, "Don't you mean Pakistan?" And so it was like it was like that bad in terms of people's just understanding of what was going on and just Palestinian existence. So yeah, Wu-Tang, huge for me. Like hearing Palestine or PLO in music was really just like it would just get me excited because it felt like very deep solidarity and like people talking about it like ahead of time before the world started to wake up to it was crazy. I remember there's a song, who was it? Lupe Fiasco,
Uh-huh.
Waka
I know the
Flocka,
one you're
like
about to say. Yeah.
yes, you know what I'm talking about. Like just people talking about Gaza, people talking about Palestine in their music. Like it wasn't very prominent for sure, but when it did happen, it felt like a deep connection. And yeah, there was even like a lot of artists that I was really inspired by that weren't necessarily Palestinian, but like would make music about Palestine, like Roger Waters was really into Palestine from the very beginning. Like he has a song about the apartheid wall, and I think he even like went over there and like filmed a music video about it.
Mm.
I remember when Vic Mensa made some music around Palestine. Um, and yeah, anytime I heard it, I was just like, yes, thank you. Thank you so much. We needed that.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm happy you brought up the Lupe one too. I'm mad I forgot about that. But like that was like that came out when I was a bit older and like I did like I was quite a bit more politically aware, and just like hearing somebody like Lupe, like condemn Obama for like his administration bombing the fucking Gaza Strip is like, I know personally that was a wake up call for so many people I know who like
Yeah.
had no idea what that was about. And like, like Lupe was a superhero to me at that point. So
Yeah.
I was like,
No,
I
same.
hear him say that and I'm just like, what's that? And then like it comes up and then funny enough, it just so happens to come up in school, the internet's a
Yeah.
thing. So research
Mm-hmm.
happens and then it's just like, oh, like this
Yeah.
has been, and I don't want to drag this for too long, but I'm a big American Dad fan,
Mm.
and like there's a clip that's been recirculating from like it has to have been from like one of like the first 5 seasons of the show. Like they have
Mm-hmm.
like a CIA telethon, and like and like near the end of the episode, they have like Stan Smith does one of those like stage shows where he's dressed as 2 people, like one person on one half of his body and the other on the other half. And it's like one half he's Uncle Sam and one half he's like a woman from Israel. And he's like, I'm the US and I'm Israel. Like, oh, we have the same father, Satan. It's fucking like, this was, and like, once again, this is like 10, 15, maybe even close to 20 years ago at this point.
Yes.
And it's, and it's just, and like, I've been seeing it recirculate a lot recently. And you're like,
Yeah.
I remember seeing that then and being like, yeah, fuck Israel, just
And
like,
that kind of stuff was so rare though. Like it was so
Yeah,
rare for it to
exactly.
happen because I feel
Yeah.
like more than anything you were just seeing media or listening to music and they were like talking about Israel in like a, like a beautiful way, especially because, like media is so run by Israel, that it was just like that's like the
Right.
majority of what I would hear. And I would like hear some shit like that. I was like, okay, turn this shit off. Like can't watch that now. And that was way more common than experiences like that where you're watching and you're like, yes, people know, people understand, and it's on mainstream media.
Yeah, that shit was tough. Yeah, it just gave me more of an appreciation for what people had going on like 10, 15 years ago, and just being like, damn,
Yeah.
like they were early, like they
Mhm.
understood, and like it obviously wasn't like a trend back then like it is now, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It pays to be worldly and informed. You don't got to be a nerd about it, but be worldly, be informed, read your shit, talk to
Exactly.
people, think for yourself, and
Exactly.
yeah, just do all that. I'm
'Cause
pointing
that
at the
makes
camera like
me
I'm fucking Uncle Sam, but anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But I mean, you actually made me want to say something that after I finished, like ranting about how I feel now, that people are, thinking about Palestine finally and aware of what's going on, is even though like I shared those feelings of, like conflict and complexity that are inside of me because like I just went from trying to convince people to understand to like everyone on a worldwide level understanding, it doesn't mean that I'm like in any way discouraging people from being a part of the movement and from doing their deeper research and understanding and speaking, and sharing and fighting people on what's right and making sure that it's out there. Like there's no like I'm not trying to create like any kind of insecurity in people when I say things
Right.
like that. It's more so just kind of sharing my general experience of moving from something where, like you go from people not listening to everyone just like, learning on their own, and it's a beautiful thing. And I overall like my feelings are just like gratitude that people are aware. But yeah, I just wanted to like make sure that I put that out there is like it's not all just like everyone's thinking of it as a fad, and a lot of people aren't. Like a lot of people are really they care, and that's genuine and that's important. But yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's always it's a net positive that this many people are aware and there's
Yeah.
attention being paid. And like I said, in the same way that Trayvon and BLM was a wake up moment for a lot of people, 2023 was a wake up moment for a lot of people too. And there's plenty of people who are as committed and serious, and like it's like we said, it's complicated, and I'm just happy more people care, and the effort can be put forward to make it happen the way it needs to happen.
Yes.
and I want to dig a bit more into music with you before we move a bit further toward all the stuff you do.
Mhm.
So when did music become capital M music for you? Not
Oof.
not necessarily in terms of you wanting to like be involved in any way, but just you fucking with music just as a person.
So early on. I would say the first music that I listened to was because of my dad. Old R&B, 40s to 60s range of R&B was really like what started getting me into music. My dad really loved that genre because it was so narrative based and it was storytelling. And so it's
Yeah.
actually what helped teach him English, to where he would just like listen to these stories and a very like emotional language, and it would just create like these visuals for him, to where he started to really like understand English in a way that it wasn't sticking before. So his like my mom and my dad's wedding song was the Stylistics, and like everything like around my house at that time was just like this really beautiful old R&B music, as well as Arabic music from a really famous artist that I'm not sure if you've heard of, but I highly suggest listening to Fayrouz if you don't know her yet. But she is like the
I don't.
Celine Dion of the Arab world. She's a Lebanese musician that's been around for forever, and her voice is just so powerful. And Arabic music in general, like it comes from a different place, like Arabic language when you're speaking it. And so it's just like really deep music. It's a lot about liberation, about love, about sadness, about happiness, about community. And that was basically like what my music world was growing up as a kid. And so I think that's like mostly what's been my inspiration for really falling in love with music.
That's beautiful. And I know you're based in Florida now, but remind me where you grew up.
So I was born in Central Florida, in this
Okay, so you're from
crazy
Florida.
town.
Okay.
Yeah. I was
Cool.
born here, and then I lived in Palestine as a kid. And then was in Florida for the majority of my life. When I came back, I went to high school in Central Florida, and then came to University of Florida in Gainesville 10 years ago, actually. This is my decade year in Gainesville.
Okay. Yeah, because I knew you'd been in Florida for quite some time and that you spent time in Palestine. I just couldn't remember exactly where you started. So I mean, like, you're from Florida for all intents
Hmm.
and purposes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. As you once again as you get older and stuff starts to flesh out and you've been across the ocean and back, when did you know music was going to become more than just a hobby for you and that you wanted to like be involved in platforming it and distributing and releasing it through a label, like talk
Yeah.
to me about that.
So that really started when I met my friend Jahi, who's also my business partner. We met at the University of Florida in an astronomy class. And we just really connected very quickly because we both had backgrounds in social work and community work through our family, through our culture. I'm not sure if you know much about Jahi, like if you've seen any of the other interviews I do, I talk about him a lot, but he has a really unique experience where his family started something called the Access Center even
Hmm.
before he was born. But in the early 2000s, they were basically offering internet access and creating these internet cafes in rural Black communities throughout Central and North Florida. And so he, like it being a family business, him and his brother basically had to learn video, they had to learn photo, they had to learn design so that they could support the nonprofit. And so that's like where his background came from. And then, like for me being Palestinian, I learned my whole life that community is all we have, and it is our duty on this world to do things outside of ourselves for the betterment of our people in our community and those who are living under shared struggle. And so I was very deep into social work when I had met him, already doing stuff even before I got into college and started studying social work. And so we just wanted to do something that was bigger than ourselves and created a platform for change. And we decided to create a record label together from the complete ground up, because to us, a record label really helped embody all of these different areas of culture that we were really in love with and inspired by. So, for example, automotive, skate, fashion, visual art, food, all of these things like really intersect. And a record label to us is more a living entity that brings all of these things together, including music. And so we started the label and we started doing events through it. We started doing recording programs in both the hospital, recording people who were primarily living an end of life, and who had chronic illness. And we were recording their music and pushing their messaging out. Same thing with recording people who were incarcerated in the prisons around Central Florida, and also pushing their music out, preserving legacy. And then we started recording our friends who were musicians because we wanted to support them in their music endeavors. And so we started doing events so that we could fund building this little studio inside of the house that I was living in at the time, which was like definitely a bando. We just like rebuilt the whole house like from ground up. And so I would have people in there like 24/7, which was crazy. Like I would not have a studio in my house again, but it was just beautiful. Like 24/7, there were people in there creating, and not just music, but visual artists were coming in, filmmakers were coming in, like people were just creating things all together. And that was really like my first thing that pushed me into like wanting to actually pursue working with music more and understanding its value and its significance outside of just like my love for it and how it made me feel. I started to see the way that it impacted other people and impacted community and brought people together with these events that we were doing, and platforming our friends who were artists so that they could perform in front of bigger crowds, and them just building fans out of it, building a community around them as musicians. And yeah, that was like the first push, and that was in 2018.
Wow. Okay, so in that, so considering all of that, when did y'all first? When did y'all? Where did the idea for a festival come from? Like, I was like, where did the idea for Big come from out of all of that?
So the first event that we ever did through the record label, which is called Dion Dia, we did a silent disco inside of an independent radical library that's local in Gainesville called the Civic Media Center. And the reason that we did it in there is because we were primarily platforming hip hop music, R&B music, different areas of street culture, and everywhere that we went to try to do this event, people were shutting the door in our face. They were like, we don't do that here. Our venue is punk, our venue is folk, our venue is this and that, and basically just white as hell. So
Sounds like
it
New York.
just, yeah, right. So it was bad. Like there was nowhere that would let us do an event. Like no one wanted to work with us. No one wanted to like take a chance on us. And it's a mix of different things. Like we were young, we were inexperienced, but like people, we knew what it really was about. And so the Civic Media Center was the first place that actually like gave us a chance to do something in there. And it was super alternative space that definitely was not necessarily used for like these kinds of shows and parties. But nonetheless, they let us do it. And that first event that we did had about 120 people at it. And again, first time that we'd ever done anything, but we saw so many people, all different backgrounds, different interests, come together in the same space and just completely get along and enjoy themselves and connect with other people. A lot of the people who came are people that don't even come outside, like our friends that are just like not they because they didn't find anything that felt like it resonated with them in town, felt like they had space in town. So they were like the first people to come to those events. And so when we saw that, it was a very clear message of how significant events and experiences are for really community building and bringing people together for bigger purpose. And so when that happened, we were basically knew that we wanted to do a festival eventually, because it's the epitome of that large scale platform that draws people together. And so we just like thought about it for a long time. COVID happened while we were like at the peak of the record label. So obviously we had to stop doing events. We had to stop doing our recording projects in the hospital and the prison. And we just kind of sat back and thought, you know, like what else we wanted to do. And that's when we started How Bazar, which is the worker owned space. And so throughout that time, we just started to like gain more experience, more confidence in what we were doing, building more community around the concept and around the philosophy and just what we had going on. And really, how the festival actually manifested is there's a guy in New York named Z, who is a great friend of ours and really like a huge inspiration to us, that discovered How Bizarre because he also wanted to start worker owned organization. And so he came to Florida, and if you've ever heard of Jaded Forum, that's his podcast.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of
Um,
it.
yeah, so he
Oh,
came to Florida and he spent the weekend in Gainesville. We shared what we do with him. He shared a little bit more about what he has going on, and he was just instantly like, you know, I have a friend that would love to support work like this. His name is Zach Fox. Have y'all heard of him before? And I was like, yeah, we heard of him. What you mean? But at the time, like Zach
yeah,
wasn't necessarily he wasn't like as big as he is right now, especially since he's become like deeper into DJing. Like at that
right.
time, he was one of those artists where I would like hear Palestine and I was like, yes, like this person understands.
Was this before or after I got depression?
This was after,
Okay,
shortly
yeah.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, no.
So
I only ask because I know he's lived like a million lives, and like I knew him for something completely different 5, 6 years ago than I know him for
exactly.
now. But he's been consistently everything you're talking. Sorry,
Oh,
I didn't mean to
consistent.
interrupt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
also a Renaissance artist himself. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, he was one of the people like he's an example of someone that before everyone knew what was going on in Palestine, like he was saying free Palestine, free TK. So he's amazing. And he basically like we wrote this little proposal to him to invite him to come to Gainesville. Z shared it with him and he was just like instantly down to come and co-sign it and support and use his platform to help us elevate what we were doing. And he said that he was down to come in April. That was like 3 months away from that point in our life. And we were just like, okay, I guess we're just going to make this festival happen now. So we just like pushed really hard and we launched the festival so that we could have him as one of the headliners of it. And yeah, it was just like crazy how it's grown since then. And this is going to be his first year coming back since we started it. And it just
Hmm.
feels so full circle. And he's even like dedicating more of himself to it and like using even more of his platform to help elevate the festival. He's investing in the festival. He's bringing his own DJs and like putting his own creativity into it. So yeah, that's really like what made the festival happen was just like that motivation of, okay, this guy believes in us. Like we got to do it. Like we got to make it
Wow.
happen.
That's incredible. Before, you know, before we get into everything that's happened with the festival this year specifically, I want to dig in. I want to dig a bit into the specifics of, you know, putting the festival together. You know, like you've been gesturing at for the last few minutes. Um, you know, like you were telling me before that this year the team is 40 people, which is a decent amount of people. But you know, like you look at other big festivals all across the country and the world, you know, whether it's like Wireless in Europe or Lollapalooza, you know, like I mean, like these festivals have like teams of hundreds, if not thousands, of people. And I know you've mentioned elsewhere that y'all. I mean, of course, you know, like it's DIY, and you guys are paying for most, if not everything. There's sponsorships involved, I'm sure, but like a lot of it is you. You know, like y'all are like refinancing cars and putting up like real collateral to like make sure that, you know, like this festival with these relatively big names in it are happening, or on it is happening. So like just talk to me about, you know, working on this and y'all putting this together, and the challenges that come with doing this and getting it truly from the mud in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the challenges are endless. My goodness. It's terrifying. It's like months and months of just like pure terror, to be honest. Like where I just like wake up every day thinking, okay, what can I do to make this actually work so that we don't lose our asses, number one. Number two, for it to stay true to what we envision it to be, like the purpose of why we're creating it. And it's so scary because it's like a very vulnerable thing. I mean, it's first of all a huge risk in terms of just like putting everything that you have into it. Like you mentioned, selling our cars so that we're able to even like kickstart it. But then also just like the insecurities that come with it of just feeling like, okay, are people going to resonate? Is it making sense? Do people understand like what the purpose and what we're trying to do? And yeah, it's just like a terrifying process, but then also it's a lot of learning curves, like learning, like the permitting systems, learning how to like pivot, learning how to do all of these different things that, like make a festival what it is. Booking artists is like a huge learning curve that we're still, getting used to. Just so many things that are all new to us, but we have to wear so many hats to be able to accomplish it, like and touch every single area of the festival in terms of like the creative, the conceptual side, the logistics side, the production side, the artistry, just everything. So yeah, it's been overwhelming, it's been scary, but then the festival happens and I have people coming up to me like left and right saying things like, I never thought I would get an experience like this in Florida. Mike coming to Florida, Mike stepping foot in Florida for the first time with the festival in Gainesville.
That's
These
fire.
young,
Wow.
yeah, I know, right? These young people like coming up to me who I gave a media pass and they're like, this literally changed my life. Like, this is what I want to do now is I want to pursue like media and I now have a portfolio and just all of these things that are just insane. And like the city or the county giving me an economic report of the festival doing over $700,000 in economic development or economic impact in the city, like specifically the downtown area, like different things like that are just like, okay, we got to keep going, got to keep pushing. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster and there's so many things that make us feel like maybe we're not on the right path, but then there's even more things that outweigh that motivate us to keep going.
Yeah, like yeah, I mean like that economic report in particular just it really goes to show. It goes to show like what the impact of something like that can be. Like
Yeah,
like I've never put anything together of this size or scale, but I completely feel you on just like the general anxiety that comes with organizing an event like this and wondering if anybody's going to be interested or if people are going to
right.
show because like because like people support and you want to put together a thing, but like you just never really know who's gonna be there until like the day comes or until you start to see the
Exactly.
ticket numbers
Yeah.
go up and then and then like the thing happens and people walk up to you and tell you that it's like great to see this specific thing in this
Yeah.
specific place and that you can like like connect people and create opportunities not just for you and your team to really like fan out but to give everybody who comes the opportunity to discover whether it's like a new artist or a new thing about themselves, like just like that little bit about people being like, I want to do this because I had the opportunity to do this thing that wasn't available to me in Central
Hmm.
Florida. Like that's like that, like that's so important. It's just like me looking at the bill this year and seeing names of people that not only am I fans of these people, but like they've all like they're all like alums of my podcast, like between Chuck and
Hmm.
Mavi and Overcast, and you're like, these are all people that like I know and love and respect, and to see them show up in a place that isn't necessarily known for that kind of music and can and like obviously there's fans of this stuff all over, but
Yeah.
like it really can't be overstated how important it is to have these types of things go to places where you might not expect them because
Yeah.
you just never you just like never know who could really need that push and
Exactly.
like who could benefit from that particular strain of affirmation and like
Yeah.
and like once again just like looking at the bill and seeing all these names I'm just like why is just like outside of like my circles, it's just like, this seems like a pretty big deal. Like, why is nobody talking about this? And then
Right.
2 days later, you know, big
Blowing
culture
up.
and art festival everywhere, you know.
Crazy.
You know, like, you know, like people are, you know, like people are really starting. Well, okay, I'm not gonna talk too far ahead. Talk to me about, you know, all these big outlets like Fader and Complex and whoever, like picking the festival up and, you know, taking it somewhere where, you know, like it wasn't necessarily yeah, just talk to me about the fallout from all this shit.
It's wild. Literally, when I saw it get posted on Fader, I went outside of this house, like right onto the street, and I just screamed. Like, I just screamed because I was like, what in the world? Like, it's just such a surreal feeling of, for years, like putting everything into something, head down, going through all of the trials and tribulations of it, and then for it to finally get some recognition is just like an insane feeling that still hasn't fully clicked, but I'm just in deep gratitude for it. And even like one thing, because I had mentioned how it's a very vulnerable experience creating the festival, so the booking is primarily me, for the lineup. And so last year was the year that I decided, like, I'm not gonna try to guess who has the highest listenership in Florida and, like, you know, who makes sense to book. I'm just gonna book my music taste. Like, forget about it. I love Mike. I'm a book Mike. I love Wiki. I'm a book him. I love Navy Blue. I'ma just do it. And so when I did that, I just saw like how much people really, again, like resonated with it, and they just also love that music, and they weren't getting exposure to it in the state. And so this year I just decided to like lean even deeper into that. And so I kind of just started going crazy because it's like after we booked Earl, it was like everyone was down. So it turned
Of
into like
course, yeah.
Overcast performing, which this is his first festival that he's performing at, which is
That's so
insane.
fire, man.
It's so
Wow.
crazy. So like he was down, Mavi was down, Pink Sifu hit me back up and was like, yo, are you doing the festival again this year? Just like all these people who were just down to be a part of it. And so I was working on this lineup for so long before we actually posted it, to the point where I felt like I started getting desensitized to like how crazy it was. I started feeling like, okay, we're gonna put this out tomorrow. Like, are people really gonna fuck with it? Are they gonna just think it's like weak, it's lame, whatever? And then when we put it out, and like immediate response of just people like picking it up and being like, wow, this is insane. Um, Younger publications like I Breathe Music or That Good Shit, like all these people just like instantly blowing it up. And then the bigger publications like The Fader and Pigeons and Planes, and like all these people looking into it and just like on their own, you know, like organically, completely, because we haven't even run targeted ads on it yet. Like, we haven't even done any kind of digital marketing. It's just been completely organic. Like, even the post like itself, for some reason, it won't let me boost it on Instagram. Like, it won't even let me run ads on it. It's just like completely like getting its word of mouth out there. And yeah, it's just been a crazy feeling of just like people really resonating with it and caring about it. And I'm grateful and I'm so excited, but in some ways I feel like, you know, I didn't expect it to happen this early. I thought it was going to take like a few more years of the festival to
Right.
really blow up this way. But it just feels like every day, you know, like people are discovering it and they're wanting to, you know, like put their own energy behind promoting it and pushing it out. Like, for example, this experience right now, like that's why I was so nervous about being able to do this, because again, I feel like your platform is so special. And for you've, you know, worked with so many of the artists that I love and I'm inspired by, who are on the lineup, who you know, like I aspire to be able to book one day. And so it's like you even caring enough to have this conversation with me and promote the festival is just a huge deal. And it feels like every day I'm getting to meet people who are not here in Florida, they're elsewhere, but they're really just like getting it and wanting to connect with the festival, because they understand where we're coming from. And that's the most beautiful thing that I could have ever asked for with this happening.
Yeah, I'd really love to hear it, because yeah, I mean, like, even like I said from last year, like seeing, you know, like that was my first exposure to anything y'all had going on down in Gainesville, and seeing it's like seeing like the descent of people on it, and then like getting to talk to you and you being so enthusiastic about what I do, like it can be hard to get in your own head because like, or it can be hard to get out of your own head because like, I know people know who I am like in my area, but to like to hear you be as excited and appreciative as you were when you were like, oh yeah, like let's try to get Dylan down here in some, yeah. I mean, like it's just like, just like you're in Florida and I'm up here, and it's like that, like, but I was of course even more just appreciative and happy and hyped that something like this existed before we were even in contact. And and then especially learning more about you and what you do and what you and the rest of the team do, it's just like, it's just a no-brainer. Like this is the type of thing where it's just like, oh, the right people hear about this, it's gone. It's always hard to tell when exactly it's gonna pop, but once
Exactly.
it pops, and like,
Exactly.
and yeah, like, and you're like, or actually, before I ask my next question, I'm curious if you'd be willing to share. Do you know how many tickets you've sold so far?
Yes, we're close to 2,000 tickets.
Wow. And just for context, how many did you sell last year?
About 1,500.
See, that's already like, yeah, no, like you've already surpassed the total of last year, and you still got basically 4 weeks until showtime.
I know. The
So
craziest thing too is that historically we sell 50% of our tickets in the last week before the
see,
festival.
yeah, no, that means you got another 500, 600 coming your way on some. Yeah, come on,
Right.
man.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we got some more coming for sure. And then it's just like a matter of the amount of people that are involved in the event too. Like about 200 volunteers. We have all the
Uh-huh.
staff, 136 artists who are half of them bands that have multiple people within them. The
Yes.
circus performers, the visual artists, the filmmakers. Like there's just so many people that are involved. So like even aside from people buying tickets, it's just going to be such a full space with so many different people from different backgrounds,
Yeah.
different types of artistry, just getting to connect with each other. And I'm so excited. And this year is crazy because right now our ticket holders, over 60% of them are coming from outside of Gainesville and Alachua County. I know, like
Wow.
close to 25% of those people are from out of state, which is
Mm.
insane. And so like it makes me think so much about that economic impact calculator that the county ran a 1-day festival through last year. Like imagine a full 3 days this year, all these people traveling for it, all of the different like ways that it's going to benefit Gainesville and Florida as a whole is just like overwhelmingly exciting.
Yeah, cause like usually when you hear people talk about traveling for festivals, they're talking about Coachella or Lollapalooza or like Riot Fest or like Rock the Bells when that was a thing. So
Yeah.
like for this to be for this to be for this to be as humble, for lack of a better word, as it is, and people are coming from out of state, like the majority of people are coming from out of the county it takes place in, like that's priceless.
Yeah.
Like it's like like I can only imagine how exciting and scary that is.
Yeah.
um
Scary for sure.
and like there was another thing I wanted to touch on, because I know like the day you announced the lineup, you put out a very lengthy statement about just like the booking process, and I know a lot of people had a lot of issues about Alchemist and his whole thing, which appears to be fairly complicated. I've never spoken about this publicly, so I guess I'll speak on it now. I never really got the impression that he was a Zionist ever. Like personally, it's like he had been asked about it and kind of dodged questions about it in ways that made me kind of uncomfortable as somebody who's been a fan of his for like 20 years across a couple different eras. And I've also written pieces about Alchemist and have been pretty critical of like certain things he said and done, particularly when it comes to AI and like the whole hit thing with him and Erica Badu. Like I love Alchemist, but I'm not going to act like I haven't had my issues with him in the past. But
Yeah.
I read your statement, that you wrote, this very thorough, like 7-8 slide written statement you wrote about, like, it wasn't just about that, but that took up a big chunk of it because, you know, like people are rightly concerned about that, and they want to know that the people they're supporting, if not fully aligned with their values, at least aren't like ignorant enough to just kind of fall into some shit just because. And you know, like, and you mentioned in your statement that you still have quite a few misgivings, but not enough to not just be like, just have him back. Which I just wanted to say that I really appreciated the way you wrote. Like that's a tough issue because, like, you know, like, once again, like in the circles we run in, like that was on everybody's tongue, you know, like, and like you had said it in the statement. And it's something that I thought forever, just like, why would he work with all these people? Why would he work with Yassine? Why would he work with Earl? Why would he work with Mike and all these people who are so vocally pro-Palestine if he wasn't? You know, like, you would think that, you know, like, you would think the benefactors would have a thing or two to say. You know, it's just like, you know, like those types of, like, of course it helps to have people express, like, you know, free Palestine from the river to the sea, like that helps and is important, but it's, you know, I just really like I can imagine how tough it was to be in a position and you coming out and saying that publicly in like the thoughtful, nuanced, and thorough way you did, because it was, you know, it wasn't like a full, like, oh fuck the bullshit, he's coming. It was like, he's coming. I still kind of like, I'd like to see him be a little better, but it's not to the point where we need to fully just like jettison him to the moon on some cancel shit. So like, I guess just walk me through your thought process putting that together and the response to that, because I know a lot of people in this area that we're in can be pretty vicious when it comes to stuff like that. And yeah, I guess I just wanted to let you know, on top of asking you that question, just that, like, I really appreciated you being as nuanced as you were, because that was a tough situation to broach, and you did it with a lot of class. So, you know.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, one thing that's huge that I won't dig too deep into, but just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, is that a lot of people who are discovering the festival, you know, don't necessarily have the context of the local situation that's going on, which is that a lot of what you're seeing is, you know, like, of these people who are trying to paint the festival as, you know, like, whatever it is, and like saying that he's a Zionist, and that, like, how can we support this festival if they're bringing a Zionist, and blah blah blah. Like, that's really driven by personal vendetta that someone in the community has against me, which is like a whole thing in itself. And a lot of people, and this was like really validating, a lot of people told me that you can very clearly see that in what they were posting, is that it's not in good faith. It's more so just like very obvious that there's like personal pushes behind it, like personal malice, that someone is trying to push onto me, onto the festival, and they're masking it with these very like shallow arguments and points of like why he's a Zionist. Like, for example, the Arm& Hammer thing was just like, bro, like, I don't know if you saw that part of like, oh, Arm& Hammer, Haram is, you know, like, clearly Islamophobic. I'm like, bro, first of all, he didn't name that album. Like, here is a interview of the album getting named by Billy Woods, and like why he named it what he did, and like that they're very classically like a taboo type of you know, musicians.
And then on top of that, like, what, like Woods and Elucid are friends. They are about as pro-Palestine and anti-Israel as one could possibly be. You know, so like people could get, you know, I'm happy you nipped that shit in the bud in particular. You know, shout
Yeah,
out to
no.
Blackness.
For sure, shout out. But yeah, I mean, like that's just kind of like the thing is that makes me kind of sad about it is that people don't really get that part of understanding like why this is an issue to these people is not necessarily because they have an issue for real with Alchemist or with Big, but because they're trying to hurt me. And, you know, like if that's what they want to do, that's okay. But this project is so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than you know, like all of these little like basic dramas and trivial things. Like it's about creating an entire sustainable project for creatives to use year round to support themselves, for it to become a platform that can actually push important messaging into the world, to remain as a platform that's completely human run and independent and DIY and not fucking bought up by Live Nation and Insomniac and like all of these big corporations. Like it's meant to be something that is a true change maker. And so, you know, like someone's basic issues that they have against me is not going to like change the way that people are being impacted by this festival. So yeah, it was just like a disappointing thing, and it's definitely like one of the main challenges because it's so emotional to me, especially because like, you know, this literally like the lowest blow. Like I'm very vocally Palestinian. Like I've been impacted by this cause like in literally like with my body, like physically and mentally and emotionally. And so it's just kind of like it's sad to like carry those kinds of feelings and still have to like, you know, push forward and you know, like make the thing happen because again, it's bigger than just this and this situation, and it's way bigger than me as an individual. But yeah, it's just sad, you know? Sad.
Yeah. You know, it is what it is. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
it like the fact that you got shit moving the way you do, and people have an issue with it, just shows that what you do is important and people care. You know, it's you know, like at the very least enough to draw attention to somebody who has, you know, grievances, however shallow those
Mm-hmm.
grievances might be. You
Yeah.
know, and you know, like once again, just taking in the enormity of this lineup, and like once again, even forgetting all the bigger artists on it, just like the effort that's gone into platforming so many different kinds of music from so many different kinds of people from all over the place, bands, not bands, DJs, just like it's so incredibly cool to me. Like this
Thank
is
you.
like you know, like this is the kind of thing you like this is what you want a festival to be of this
Mm-hmm.
size. You know, like something that has something that has like somewhat, for lack of a better word or phrase, like mass appeal, you know, in somebody like an Earl or an Alchemist, but that you'll probably walk out of there having discovered 20 or 30 people you never heard of before. Like
Yeah.
made connections with people who aren't just on the stage or vending or offering food, but like fans, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
just like seeing the way people walked around in Eric's video recap that he made last year, and just like you could tell that this was like people were like, damn, what is this? Like, nice to meet
Yeah.
you. Like, I'm here. It's I don't know. Like it's for me, seeing that's like the platonic ideal of what anybody would want a festival of that stature to be.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've hit it as big as you have, and once again, you know, like we're not you know, like we're just under a month out from the actual festival happening. So
Mm-hmm.
it just makes me happy. And you know, like in a because like there's a lot of thoughts I've had about just like the necessity of a festival generally, because and like a lot of that stems from the fact that New York is just littered with like Rolling Louds and Governor's Balls, and it's just like after a while, like you go to one of those things and it just becomes this like just like over corporatized slop fest that I'm just like, I don't really need to like be around this the way that I did before, you
Yeah.
know. And then something like Mike's Young World happens, and it's like, oh, like this is what it could be, you know,
Yeah.
like this is, you know, like this is the essence. And it's like that energy that energy exists within Big, you know, like, and like y'all have been doing that on your own anyway, but like it's festivals like these that make me happy to see the idea of a festival continue to thrive. So
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, that means a lot
yeah,
to
man.
me. That's the
Yeah.
intention. Keep it human and keep it meaningful. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just crazy to see how many people are getting it, you know, like getting it from
Yeah.
elsewhere. And in some ways, I feel insecure about us not even like explaining the purpose and the story enough. But then I'll talk to people like you who just understand like what we're going for and what the purpose behind all the what the why is for all of it. And it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's everything to me, seriously.
And like it especially matters because just like across age groups, I think more people care about the why of everything than
Yeah.
did before. You know, like I think people are coming to that with a lot more intention and a lot more like, I really want to make sure this thing that I enjoy, whether it's music or a movie or a piece of literature or a celebrity or whoever or whatever, like
Yeah.
if not full, once again, if not fully aligns with my values, I at least don't want to feel evil
Yeah.
or like complacent, you
Yeah.
know, doing things like that. You know, like you look at like Kanye's about to play his first show in the States in however many years, and you know, like nobody, and you know, like people, you know, like there's plenty of people who have a lot of issues. I mean, I have a lot of issues with what Kanye's done. I know people who would be at that show regardless because
Yeah.
he's fucking Kanye West, and you know, like whatever soul searching or you know, like cognitive dissonance they got to put themselves through to make it happen, they're gonna do that.
They're gonna do it.
So you know, like it makes me happy to see places where people don't have to do that, where you don't
Yeah.
have to, where you know, you don't have to kind of check your conscience at the door to enjoy
Yeah.
your time,
Yeah.
to like get a good holistic experience. Like that's
Yeah.
I don't know, like that real that you know, like that really that matters to me, and like especially as somebody who you know who also organizes events and like and just like with the real talks that I do,
Yeah.
you know, like that's like you know like it's important to me that I'm like working with people that I not only have chemistry with and that I trust, but that you know I'm not gonna have somebody come up to me at a show and be like, why are you doing this with XYZ when they've done all and you know like like that's the last thing you want, you know,
Yeah.
like that's the
Hmm.
last thing you want. So
Yeah.
you know, like as somebody who tries to be as careful and thorough on that front as possible, you know, seeing you be as careful and y'all, you know, collectively the whole unit be as careful and thoughtful and as inclined to fun as you are. Yeah, I'm just gonna be throwing compliments forever if we don't stop this soon. So yeah.
Thank you. They all mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you see
Oh
the
man.
intention. Cause yeah, even with everyone that we book, like, even just this genre specifically and leaning more into it of the alternative underground hip hop and the scene that's around it, it very naturally just brings the people together who are more just conscious and aware and like they just care about the world. And I think it's, you know, like there's a certain type of person that's attracted to this kind of music and like the
Mm-hmm.
way that it shares important messaging and that it, you know, like elevates the right things, and it's just the right energy. And so I think that's why like very naturally we're finding the people who we want to be around, like the very like-minded people.
Yeah, and that matters, you know. And there's,
Hmm.
and, you know, I'm sure this is a big wake up call to the fact that there's a lot more of them than you might have thought, who are also
Yes.
willing to descend on y'all's neck of the woods.
That's the
Um,
beauty of events and creating these
yeah,
platforms. That's where you find the people.
yeah, man. It's that third space conversation, you know. Like people want to, you know, like people are really hungry for that sense of community. They want to, you know, like not, you know, like they want to belong to something that speaks to them in
Yeah.
whatever way that might be, and like you know, like to be in a position where you can do that for people is super, and like especially considering your experience, like it's you know, like it's valuable. Like
Yeah.
this is stuff you've preached forever, and now to be able to put it into action at a time where it's more not just needed but wanted, you know, than ever. Like you know, like
Yes.
you're ready, and
Yes.
like you're ready to accept that. So yeah, like once again, this conversation, this conversation could go on for like another 4 hours, I feel like.
Right.
But shit. But to formally wrap this, Laila, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
Oh my gosh. If my life was a movie, if my life was a movie, it would be about just the journey of bringing people together for to be ready for all of the changes that we're seeing and for bringing us all together so that we can actually make the change that we want to see. It would be about people finding the right people. It would be about people connecting for the right reasons and us just getting ready to take over and do what we got to do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, it's like plain and simple, like
Hmm.
real, real fucking fight the power and love
Us
each other.
protecting each other,
Yeah,
finding the
man.
people that we need to work with.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
Thank you for not just coming to talk to me and not just for putting together this, or like being a big part of what makes this event happen, but just like thanks for giving yourself to this, because it's not an easy thing to do what you do. And I'm sure people can take that for granted and not think about it. But yeah, just know that what you do is important, and it's very much well deserved that this is all about to turn into like everyone's favorite festival in a
Thank
couple weeks. So
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank you so much. I wish you could be with us, but we got to
yeah,
get you
me
here
too,
next
man.
year and we'll connect more. But I just genuinely can't thank you enough for this opportunity and for platforming what we do. It really means a lot to me.
Oh man, yeah, no, it's for real my pleasure. Like I'm just happy to once again, like I see people doing cool things, and and like I wanna give a spotlight to that in any way that I can. Like anybody listening who's celebrating, happy Ramadan Mubarak to everybody out there. I know y'all are probably going through it,
We
fasting right
hungry,
now.
delusionally hungry and thirsty.
No, I
That's been the
feel it, but
craziest part is planning this festival while fasting has been
I
like
didn't even think about that part. That's crazy. Wow. So remind me when Eid is. How soon is Eid?
this upcoming Friday.
Okay. Okay. So you got another 6. I was about to say, like, if it turned out to be like on April 10th, like when this happens,
No, we'd have to push it back. We'd have to push the festival
that
back
would have
for
been
sure.
crazy. But nah, like, but yeah, like either way, like just like yeah, I'm happy you're gonna get to have a couple weeks where you can get back to your when you can get back to a regular
My
consumption routine.
regular
But
brain. Yeah.
yeah, nah, man.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.